Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Selena from Wholeness Campaign, and today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 of my best tips for sticking to a diet, especially when it gets challenging. I have had a lot of DMs about how to stick to a diet, people asking, how do you do it? How do you stay committed to such a restricted diet? And I'm going to share all my secrets in this video, share really what motivates me and what keeps me going, what helps me to stay on track. So hopefully this will be encouraging to you and you can apply some of these tidbits, because I feel like a lot of my videos recently have been about food related things and detox related things, but I also want to share the emotional side of healing because it can be really challenging. So let's jump in. My first tip is going to be to know your why. And I think this is kind of a counterintuitive tip because most people generally know their why when they go on a diet. It's to lose weight or to heal their body or whatever the heck your reasoning is. However, most of the time when I talk with people, they actually don't really know why they're doing what they're doing beyond, that one problem they're trying to deal with or beyond the weight loss. And I definitely think that if you're going to go on a diet, especially one as intense as the GAPS diet is, that it's really important for you to know your why and for the why to be even bigger than yourself. Because I often think that sometimes our whys are only kind of restricted to just like what could benefit me right now, what could look good in the short term, what could be pleasant for me in this moment. But I think when you can really expand your why to include your legacy, to include your family, to include the people around you, the people you're influencing, to include your work, even your livelihood, I think that's really when your why starts to stick and when that can actually be way more motivating for your life. For me, my why is because I want to create a different kind of legacy when it comes to food. I want to change my family's relationship and dynamic when it comes to food and help heal not just me and my body, but also my kids' bodies and their kids' bodies. And so I'm motivated by so much more than just feeling the relief from some kind of digestive issue now. You can check out my other videos if you're interested in learning my whole story and why I'm really on this GAPS diet. But really, I've come to kind of believe that healing my body is going to do so much more than just heal me. It's also going to heal my children, and it's also been healing a lot of people around me, just being able to look at my life and be an inspiration for people. Those kind of whys become way more impactful when you're facing the food that you are craving and really love, and you really want to stick to your diet. With this tip, I would also really recommend sharing your why with others. I think that community can be such a powerful transformation tool, and if you're kind of just trying to truck along and do this by yourself, more often than not, it's not going to be very successful, because we were designed and created to do this kind of life transformation, life change in community. I really believe that. And so sharing your story with others, sharing what's going on with others, bringing other people into it, even if it's just a counselor, ideally, a husband, your family, your friends, maybe a church, maybe your coworkers, but bringing and inviting people into your journey helps to alleviate some of that isolation that can happen a lot of the times with diets, and that also can be kind of a breeding ground for letting yourself just kind of be really wishy-washy and do whatever you kind of feel on a day-to-day basis. And we know that when your body's healing, when your gut microbiome is becoming regulated, when your taste buds are being restored, that a lot of times we crave things that aren't actually good for us. And we know that. And so having that why, but also sharing that why with others, adds a level of accountability that really just can't be gotten anywhere else. My second tip here is going to be to just change your perspective. I think a lot of people operate in this very short-term, momentary, fix-it kind of culture. We live in a culture of instant gratification, and we want what we want when we want it. And usually that's right now. And honestly, a lot of people are not willing to sacrifice right now for the short term in order for that long-term gain. I think it's our culture's obsession with short-term gratification, the dopamine hits, and the area of food is no different. I think when we change our perspective from really being like, I'm doing this for myself in the long run, it helps you in those moments of cravings. It helps you in those moments where it feels so hard, because you know what you're looking ahead to. If you can kind of keep that vision in the forefront of your mind, if you can change your perspective to realizing that what you're doing is actually for yourself, because I think sometimes we think that we're against ourselves when we're doing diets, that we got to just like beat ourselves to the ground and make ourselves obey. It can be kind of emotionally abusive, the kind of self-talk and internal perspectives that we have. I think if you can really like recognize that this is an act of self-love and that you're looking ahead with the perspective that I'm doing this for my future self, I'm doing this for me right now, and the benefits are so good. And so if you can kind of like keep your eyes on the prize, so to say, that has been really helpful for me. My next tip is just totally practical. It is just to not bring food in the house that you can't eat. The inverse of this is to not go to places where food is that you also can't eat. This can be kind of tricky in our culture, but this means sometimes for a time, maybe giving up going to restaurants. I know on the GAPS diet that is a reality. I do a whole video on how to go to restaurants when you're on the GAPS diet, but for some people in the beginning, going to restaurants in general isn't really going to be feasible mentally. If you really can't handle that temptation, really removing those distractions, removing yourself from those kinds of environments, and removing that food away from your environment can be really helpful. Sometimes this is tricky when we want to go to parties and spend time with friends. In that situation, I really would recommend bringing your own food, coming prepared, because it's that preparation oftentimes that really gets you, because you're in a moment of weakness, you're actually hungry. That's when oftentimes slipping up can become a lot easier. And with that, I would say to honestly, never be hungry when you're on a diet. And I know for some of you who maybe are still kind of operating in this Western mentality of dieting, you're thinking that I should be hungry. If I'm hungry, that means the diet's working. I'm not eating as much. But no, we're not doing eating disorders on the GAPS diet or any kind of diet. We're not restricting. The goal really here is not to restrict. And I will link a video where I go into all of that too. But staying full, making sure your body is full, really helps with cravings. And I think when I'm full, I don't crave the food that's bad for me because I don't really have a desire to eat it. I'm like full. That can be your secret weapon, to just keep yourself full off of the foods that you know are good for you, are nourishing you, because really that just avoids a whole level of temptation that isn't helpful. Another place to not visit would also be basically anywhere in the center of grocery stores. I know for most people, if you're on the GAPS diet, you're trying to source your food from local farms and from farmers markets, and those are the best of the best, but I do still personally go to grocery stores for certain things. And the truth is, I just don't spend a lot of time in the center of the grocery store. I try to walk around the edges of the grocery store. Sometimes I have to pop in for certain things, but for the most part, all of the produce, all of the meat, all of the healthier frozen foods and all that kind of stuff exists on the outside of the grocery store. So if you can kind of avoid those aisles altogether, it can be a lot easier on you mentally. My next tip here is going to be to batch make meals, and even batch make food that you really enjoy that is conducive with your diet. So that when you're hungry, and you know you will be, when you're making a meal that takes quite a bit of time to make and you're hungry and you need to just pull for something fast, or if you're on the go at any point, you have something at your fingertips so that you really don't have to go and grab that kind of crappy fast food that isn't that as good for you, that snack that you've been kind of craving. This kind of goes with my last one, but really making sure that you're staying full at all times, and batch making things will really give you that kind of flexibility. One of my favorite things to batch make is GAPS ice cream, because really when I'm in the middle of cooking, I get hungry sometimes because it's right around that dinner time. And if I'm even 10 to 20 minutes after my normal eating schedule, I start to kind of get hungry. And so if I can have some of that GAPS ice cream pre-made and ready, or one of those fat bombs that Dr. Natasha talks about in her book, you'll have something that you can go to grab and you don't have to feel that void. I think with diets, we often have this mentality where I'm just kind of in lack. You're living in lack. You're living in this like where there's just so much void in your life. It can often lead to victim mentality when it comes to dieting and doing what you know is healthy and best for your body, because you're starting to transform from the mentality of healing and loving yourself to feeling deprived, feeling like you're actually hurting yourself. And I think all of the difference between those two completely is up to your control. It has to do with your mindset and your mental shift that you need to make. But batch making things, having meals pre-prepared ahead of time, making things easier on yourself in the future can really eliminate that feeling of being deprived or feeling like you're slaving over your life, filling that void and making you feel like there's an abundance of things here for you and that what's here and what's available is actually really good. And my last tip here is to create new food memories. Redefining what your idea of a treat is going to be super crucial for you as you're learning how to depend on different kinds of foods and really start to enjoy what's actually good for your body. So for example, we have a lot of memories and traditions around birthdays. Mostly they include cake and cookies and all sorts of crappy treats that are cheap from a store, and people are always buying you Starbucks and different kinds of, drinks and sweet teas and all of these kinds of things that are not allowed on GAPS and, aren't allowed on most diets. So what you may need to do is redefining what your idea of a treat is. Finding the things that you're able to eat on whatever protocol or diet you're on that bring you joy, that spark excitement, and creating memories around those treats. So on the introduction diet to GAPS, eventually you can have bacon, and I love bacon. Everybody likes bacon. You guys, I'm telling you, bacon is so good. And it's one of those things that some diets don't think is good for you, but I actually really believe that bacon is very good for you. If you can create special memories around bacon, like Saturday mornings, we have, eggs and bacon for breakfast, which I feel like is like eating like a queen. For some people who are used to pancakes, this might feel like a shift, but if you can find something that you enjoy and create a new memory around it, it becomes an association in your brain that when you wake up and you start smelling bacon on a Saturday morning, it starts to bring happy chemicals to your brain, and those same kinds of physical reactions that you would get to that crappy, trashy food, you can actually start to get to healthy food if you create the right environment. Some of this involves creating consistency in that. I think bacon on a Saturday morning is a way of creating kind of like a level of consistency, or like GAPS pancakes on Sunday morning. You can create these mental memories, but part of that is just, being consistent, and then also finding the things that you actually really do enjoy. I know the holidays are coming up here soon, and a lot of us have memories around pies and just gorging yourself. If you've been on GAPS for any period of time, you kind of don't really feel like you need to gorge yourself anymore. And those kinds of crappy pie, sugary things can sometimes make people sick. So my hope for you would be to find things that you can be excited about over the holidays, find foods, create new memories with them. If it's swapping something for a GAPS alternative that's also very tasty, the GAPS key lime pie recipe is so delicious. You can look it up, I'll link it below. It makes a perfect substitute for any pie, and honestly, people who are not on GAPS really enjoy it. Finding substitutes and really kind of creating these new bonds, these new memories. When you experience joy around a food, you actually start to subconsciously enjoy it more. And so have soup parties, where maybe there was soup and bread parties. Maybe you're having soup parties, but you're cozying up on the couch with a bowl of soup on a Friday night. And that could be just as impactful as your pizza parties on Friday that you used to have, but it's just a different swap. And so I hope this video was helpful. I know that a lot of people have been asking me, how do you do it? How do you stick to it? And really, you guys, it has a lot to do with your mindset, your mentality, and how you really set yourself up practically. And those things really do matter. I remember being on GAPS in the beginning, I was so hungry because my body was just actually learning what nourishing foods were. And there was oftentimes I needed to learn to batch make things and make things in advance so that I didn't hit that point of hunger and just start to feel so crappy and terrible that I was hating being on the diet. So really set yourself up. I would encourage you, if you have any other ideas of ways that people can help to stick to a diet, please leave them in the comments below. I know that people are always trying to learn and grow, and I want this to be a community where people can grow and encourage each other. Please like and subscribe to this channel. It is my passion to walk alongside people as they heal and grow. It inspires me and hopefully brings encouragement to you. Thanks for watching.